So as we start the run, we'll be skipping the initial ads as they're not required for score or anything, or the guildy. This video is going to be focusing mainly on if you're somebody who wants to solo a Grandmaster and you want to start doing them, then this is, you know, a one that you can do. Now just bear in mind I can't solo the other ones, Birthplace, Lightblade, right now because I've already got Gilded Conqueror. Once you do your Gilded Conqueror, the Grandmaster node disappears. So just bear that in mind. So I can only do the weekly rotation, so then it just goes through its weekly rotation. So it'll be obviously Scarlet Keep, then it goes Arms Dealer, etc. They do that to stop you from farming a particular Nightfall, which not a huge fan of it. I just think just let the GMs be up. Let people play what they want to play, because that doesn't mean to say that people are just going to farm one. People might take their friends through to help them. I mean, obviously you can still do that, kind of. You can find somebody with that GM and do it like that. For sure you can. But it's just kind of an annoyance, they go away, but that's how it is. So you want to take out the two snipers first. They spawn up when you jump over to this platform. Make sure you take them out before you deal with the barrier. The barrier then stays in middle. Make sure all ads are cleared out before you take the barrier. And then try and get a debuff on that champ. So do it with the nade, which isn't too bad to do even if you miss, because of how Vortex works. So I thought I got the shield break and I didn't. So this bow, if you're going to use Wolf Tone, just bear in mind it doesn't always two-shot the shields. Depends if you get your crits. I thought that I took down that shield, but I hadn't. It's just the way a barrier bow works. It's not the best in the world. It's like bows are amazing for everything else in Grandmasters. Apart from barrier, they're not the best. Like a scout's better at that. But here's the thing: the bow's better at ads, flat out. No matter like there's certain scouts that are better than others. Obviously, like explosive head scouts and stuff. But the playstyle of a bow suits itself the best to GMs because you can peek shoot. You can strafe in and out of cover and do damage and not be hit. So you can hit the ad and not be hit. Whereas a scout is a sustained damage weapon. So you need to be there to do the damage. I mean, you can do single shot, but it's not very good. So this single shot damage that a bow does is highly desirable in GMs. That's what makes them the most powerful primary in the game. Because of that. That's why exotic bows are really good. So the Monarch, Trinity Ghoul, Taikus. All those bows would be really good in this. Le Monarch especially. Trinity Ghoul, I mean, yeah, you get the arc buff. Because acute arc burns on. You get a buff, but I wouldn't recommend wasting an exotic slot on Trinity Ghoul. It's good. Don't get me wrong, it's good, but I don't think... Then you can't run an exotic heavy. Like I'm running Sleeper, which is very powerful. Even though it's not getting any buff from the Nightfall. It's doing really good damage for me. Good for Solid Shields. Good for Wizards, etc. So you want to clear out all ads. Make sure you get your grenade for this, because as you start the two tower section, you're going to have two barriers spawn left and right. Pick a location. I go right. You want to lead with a grenade first, and then just super, because you've got your super to use. Then come back a little bit. Try and get a shield break if you can. And then after that, we're just going to melt. Your focus is just to melt one of the barriers down. There's times when I prioritize getting finisher kills, and there's times that I won't. For this particular, for the first champion at the very least, I'll melt. The acolytes from the other side can nade you, so you need to pay attention to that and listen to the audio cues. When the acolytes start to charge up a grenade, you need to move. Like sometimes they miss, but sometimes they're fairly accurate. So it's just a case of move. You know, because then there's a low chance of you being killed by anything. So if you take out all the acolytes, the barrier will de-aggro to the runway. Just how the AI of these ads work, of these champs. So we'll push up a little bit to get a new angle. We'll leave with the debuff. Just helps for damage, obviously. And we're just going to melt this champion down, because what's going to happen is if I go in for that finisher kill, the Thrall are gonna melee me. The Thrall spawning when you push up here, you see? So each side of the tower there's Thrall, obviously, so that's where you want to, as I say, there's certain barriers you need to melt, certain barriers you can play around with and get some heavy off them. Notice that the sniper didn't one-shot me, so in this it's a cube burn, obviously, so a cube burn is 25% for the 50% for the arc. There's no void burn on, but a sniper can still kill you in GM, like a void sniper. So that's why I've got sniper resist on. I've got a Grasp of Avarice master chestplate on, which means I can get double arc thermoplastic plate and sniper resist. So I can run treble resist. Now I know that's not treble arc. Treble arc doesn't work, but I'm hitting more areas. It means I have defense against snipers, defense against arc. Whereas if I use a general chestplate, I would just have double arc, and I wouldn't have the sniper, meaning that a sniper could potentially one-shot us. So that's something that you don't want, and there's a lot of snipers in this. More so as we go along with the run. So with these two towers, I'm playing it slow. I'm doing each phase sort of as it comes. So when it's a chance to get a dunk with the orbs, I don't do it. I leave the orb. I spawn in the adds first. You need to bring the orb halfway to where the barrier spawns. You then want to clear out all the acolytes best as you can. Once all acolytes are dealt with, you can then deal with the barrier. It's all about isolation. You'll see me, that'll be the key word I'll repeat over and over with this throughout the run, is isolating barriers away from the adds, because that's a death. That can be a potential death. If a Boomerite hits you even once, that'll get you half HP. Then an acolyte nades you, that's a death. Outright death, and that can be done in a second, you know, so fast. So you've got to really play defensively. So what I'm playing for here is a finisher kill, because I've been spamming my heavy, so I want to start to regain some of that. You can't just go on this path of spamming your heavy every champ, because you're going to end up coming to a point where you're starting to run out. I wouldn't just rely on your ammo finders, which I've got an ammo finder on, but I would, you know, try and get your Lucent Finisher is a mod available this season, so you may as well use it. Works on champions and Lucent Guardians, Hive Guardians. Now we'll do the other side tower. We'll charge a grenade for all the charge and thrall, and then we need to deal with that. There's an Arc Knight on this side for whatever reason, so just be careful of the Arc. Basically they can 3-shot us. 3 direct hits will kill us. 2 shots will get us red. Our shields will break. So that's direct hits, that is. So don't be overconfident with anything that deals arc to you. Wizards, knights, all that stuff needs to be, you know, you need to be checking your HP at all times when you're fighting. We'll spam a grenade as the acolytes spawn in. Try and spawn kill as many acolytes as possible before you deal with wizard. We then get our grenade back, so that's good. We can then pre-charge another nade to then debuff wizard and then take him out with Sleeper, because obviously it's solar shield. Sleeper does a good job, even if it's body shot damage. That's another reason why Sleeper is so powerful. And I'm getting a bunch of ricochet shots on the wizard, so that's helping. So it's rinse and repeat. Same on the other side of the tower. We'll bring the orb, we'll drop the orb, forget about the orb. Don't try to micromanage the orb, because you're just going to end up tying yourself in knots trying to do that. Just leave it. Drop the orb, go for it at a later time. First is spawn kill these, well, kill a lot of these acolytes. Just be careful of splash damage. You can see that I'm still taking. That was because I was close to the edge of the building, so don't go too close. There's a shield break here. I'll get the shield break, I guess. The main work's done. Once the acolyte's down, we can then just melt the barrier. Okay. I'm not going for finisher though. This one I'm just clearing. If you get overconfident with finishes on champs, it may lead to your death. So, you know, don't be finishing every single champ. Just finish the ones that are easy to take. Right, this one, not so much. I was wanting to just take this barrier from up top, so I've done just that. Now, before you get dunks, you want to take out all the cursed. Actually, one curse hit me. Now, what saved me there was the thermoplastic plate and the arc resist. So that's another key thing. You need to have that arc resist on. I see a lot of people, you know, they'll do the GMs, especially more not solo players, because solo players generally get the resistance right because they've researched it beforehand. A lot of team runs, LFG runs, you'll see people, they're running reserves. Why are you running reserves in a GM? It's the biggest mistake you can make. You've failed before you started. So always check that a burn. The Nightfall's burn, check it. Right, it's void, glassware, right. Double void resist. Get double on it. Not just one, get double. And then if it's arc, then obviously arc. And so on and so forth. You know, that's the basics. If you're not getting resistance values right, then you shouldn't even be attempting a solo at that point. You should be first researching everything you need to do about the run. Because here's the thing with these Grandmasters is, they're not your standard Nightfall. You've got to play more passive, more tactical. That's what Bungie kind of wants. Right, the art of sort of speed running. I mean, you can speed run GMs, and I'm not saying people haven't. There's been some insane, especially last season, there was some impressive runs across a couple of different GMs, a couple of different players, like getting world records and stuff. But those are far and few between. Those are the top 1% players. Now I'm talking to the rest of the 99% of you, the players that just want to get stuff done and loot, right? And that's, you know, that's the thing. You want to play, you want to approach more tactical. You know, analysing all the ad spawns and stuff like that. I'm going to use a super here with a grenade, and then use some arc to take down these actually knights. And then we're just going to back up. If you don't clear them quick enough, just back up. Eventually they will actually de-aggro. They'll go back to where the champion is if you step back here. But they ended up going all the way back, which I wasn't accounting for. Don't go for the finisher kill. These knights are bugged. So what will happen is, if you try and finish one of these arc knights, they won't do the animation to sword you, but you will still take the damage, even though you finish them instantly. So don't. They're bugged. Don't finish those knights. Any knights that you see, that's the melee ones, don't touch them. Just kill them with your weapons. So this Unstoppable here will do a little bit of damage. My goal is to get him finishable so that we can get some more ammo off him. Notice he hit me a couple of times there, so try not to peek these Unstoppables unless you're 100% confident with it. What I'm doing here is baiting the Unstoppable in so I can finish him round the corner. The weakness for Unstoppables is corners. So if you can at any time, like, I know it sounds stupid, but literally, if you can aggro them, then go around a corner, that Unstoppable can't hit you with anything. As soon as he comes around the corner, no defense, you can get an instant finisher. As long as your finisher is instant, they can't stomp. If the Unstoppable does stomp, then that's a death. No resistance can survive a stomp off an ogre in GM. Not even in Master, they one-shot even in like lower difficulty stuff. Their stomp damage is higher than like any other target. I don't know why, but I guess it's just what they are. Be careful of this section here. There's a bunch of snipers that spawn in top. Obviously they're void, and as I've already expressed, they can one-shot you if you don't have the right resistance on. So if two of them hit you, that's a death no matter what. So that's where you've got to be really careful with what you're pushing. Let your grenade do a lot of the work, and then when you are doing damage, you peek shooting with the bow straight from left and right. And that's what I was saying earlier. Like with a scout, it's a little bit more. You have to play it better with a scout, if anything. You've got to actually slay out a little bit better with your shots and not be hit. Whereas with a bow, it's just in and out of cover. That's why the bows are so good. Take out any remaining acolytes. And then what we're going to do is try and spawn kill some of these acolytes. 2 solar wizards will spawn in the air. We'll take the acolytes first though. What's an interesting thing as well, when if you clear a lot of the acolytes and not clear the wizards actually will come to the floor. They'll actually come down. I don't know what happened to my sleeper shot there. I'm sure I hit him, but eventually they'll come down, and then they're free to be naded if you even want to do that. I'm missing some shots here. I'm also losing frames. I was experiencing a couple of different issues with sleeper when using it with frames. I don't know if that's a problem or not, especially in this one though. when you get into a certain range, the wizards will start to beam you, so just bear that in mind. I'm going to use a nade and come back and get out of their range. That way they can't beam me. But the wizards are your priority, really, especially if there's two up. I'm just being patient, trying to find an angle. Here's one here. And took out the wizard. The second wizard notice starts to push because we've aggroed the first. That's just what they do. And then we can take out the last wizard. So as we push up here, we will get acolytes left and right. And we'll also get a barrier champion that will spawn in. Notice that's going to happen. Before you deal with everything, I recommend trying to take out some of the acolytes. Don't push up too far because there's a shrieker, and the shrieker will open up and decimate you. The shrieker needs to be the last thing that you do. The first thing, mainly acolytes. Your main protocol is these acolytes. Take them out. And then if you get an opportunity to start melting the barrier, then do so. This is a barrier that you need, that you're not planning to get a finisher on. This is one where you need to melt. So we're just prepping the champ at the minute. We get a shield break. Then we're going to get a debuff and then use Sleeper as best as possible. We're getting staggered a little bit. That's why I'm missing my shots. Switch. Get a reload and then just finish the champ off. At all costs. The reason why as well I went all in with heavy is because I've got heavy bricks at the back. If you were keen-eyed, you would have noticed there was bricks on the floor. I do this a lot. Leave bricks for later on. If I can definitely go back for them, I will. I mean, all depends on how far back it is. I mean, this isn't that far, so I was happy enough to do that. The main thing I was happy about is getting that barrier down. Once that's done, the whole thing's a little bit easier. Just a case of getting the rest of the acolytes, then the shrieker, and then we're on to the playroom. Max on heavy again, so that's good. That's your main goal. For each encounter, you want to do it safely, in a good, efficient manner, and leaving that encounter with replenished ammo from what you've used. Okay? And that's where the lose and finisher comes in. So, but it's all about which champ do you go for and which one do you not for finisher kills. Have you got bricks on the floor anyways? Do you really need to get it? You might not need to go for the finisher. It just depends. Certain champs it doesn't matter because you've isolated them, so you can play around with them all day. Some you can't. It just depends. So before I push this shrieker opens up. It's like a line in the sand mechanic. So imagine you pass a certain line, the shrieker will then open up. Knowing where the line is very important. Once you know that, you can then because you can't. Here's the thing with the shriekers, you can't get them down in one cycle. Well, you can, but they may wipe you while you're doing it, so that's no good. So you need to do it in two phases safely. So first thing is take out all the acolytes, so as many as you can, which I'm going to use a nade for. Once you've done that, then push up behind this lamp in the middle, whatever this obstacle thing's called, right? Get a healing rift arm, and then we're just going to melt down this shrieker. Now, for whatever reason, I don't know why, but this shrieker isn't shooting at me and should be. So I think the shrieker's sort of slightly bugged. It should be shooting at me. Generally, they do, like right now. But yeah, it's important that you use heavy on that shrieker. And stay behind cover and strafe in and out of your rift. So now we push up these stairs. There's two snipers here, so make sure that you kill those quickly. Preferably with a grenade and then hide. So then there's no danger of being hit. And then there's going to be another two snipers and then a solar shield. So we'll just use our two sleeper shots and be done with it. I'm not going to start going through the business of primary and the wizard down. That's fine. The shield break charge high energy fire combo works out really good in this because there's a bunch of shields. Anytime there's a Nightfall where there's a bunch of shields, I generally do gravitate to the shield break high energy fire or shield break protective light. But they've nerfed protective light. It's still usable protective light. People are going on about it that it's useless now. It's not useless. Never is. In GM's, resistance is very important. That extra couple of percent can be the difference between dying and not dying. So no, protective light isn't worthless. It's just not as effective. Is the real answer with it. What you want to do here is take again. We're isolating the champ from the ad, so you clear out all the acolytes. Ignore the champ, but don't ignore the damage he does to you. Just ignore damage. Once you take out all the acolytes, the champ will de-aggro, go all the way to the back of the map, which is what you want, because we've got a bow on, we've got a long range, so we can take his shield down from anywhere, as long as we're, you know, good enough with it. Sometimes acolytes will de-aggro like this, especially when there's one or two left. They will hide forever. You know, it's just what they do. But once you're good and happy, you can then deal with the barrier. Now these barriers, they're boomanites. Essentially, that's what they are. They're the boomanites, the ones that do the arc. Just they have shield capabilities. They have a range drop off. So within a certain range, they'll just do their attack like they usually would. Once you start to go back, though, they won't. Like, look, that's the maximum range he's doing. He won't do much more than that. So I know exactly sort of where to stand without getting hit. For whatever reason, I'm not 100%, but there was a miss. So that's an example of barrier bow not being. I mean, obviously it's error as well by me, but if you're not perfect with the bow, the barrier just regenerates. That's where the scout's better for that, because it's constant damage, whereas the bow's a one shot. So if you miss that one shot, that's that time it takes for the barrier to regenerate. So, but the bow's good for everything else, so it's still beneficial to have a bow on. And I've got shoot to loot on it, which comes in strats for the boss. So what I'm going to do here is capture the plate, try and activate Devour to my left with my nade, and then my goal was to try and take down the shield with with Sleeper, then Nova, but I missed my Sleeper shot. Meaning my Nova didn't do the damage I wanted it to, so I've sort of not been efficient there, just because of one mistake, that's costing me ammo, because I'll have to spend some more ammo, but that's fine. Because we've got plenty of opportunities to get more finisher kills coming up. So you have license to use ammo. Obviously don't waste all your ammo on one wizard though. That's not something you want to do. You know, prioritize maybe 2 shots per wizard with a grenade and a debuff, and then a couple of bow shots. That should be enough to clear one wizard. And there's obviously 3. To spawn in the other wizards, you just need to go past a certain line, like the line in the sand mechanic thing. Once you go past that line, they spawn in. You can deal with it from range. This wizard on the right, I'm going to deal with from range. As there's a bunch of acolytes still up. So just know that when you do some shots, though, the wizard will then hide because you broke the shield. That's what they're going to do all the time. Unless you actually really push the wizard, then that's just what's going to happen. So we'll try and get a Devour going to try and take some of these acolytes first. If you've got a wizard on the right, whatever you do, don't go left, because then you're going to proc another wizard to your left, and then you've got left and right shooting at you. So don't activate 2 wizards at once. That'll be a disaster. What you can do though is come middle, central, mid, spam your grenade. So preferably jump in the air, do your nade so he doesn't hit you. And then take down the shield, and that'll do massive damage for you. Then your nade does a lot of the work. If the wizard's finishable, that's good enough. Get the finish kill, and then we can start from there. So I noticed I didn't capture plate 1, i.e. the middle plate, because when you do that, you get a barrier. So I don't want the middle barrier up yet. Right? We'll capture that last. What I'll do is when we step up on this plate here, right side, we'll spawn kill 4 of the acolytes which spawn out the door here. The quicker you kill them, the better. When you get those down, you're then just isolated, and you then have just the barrier, you and the barrier, that's it. With the barriers, you want to prioritize finisher kills on both of them, because you're likely to be low on heavy because you've been using it on wizards. So the strat with the barriers in this room is to use the stairs to sort of head glitch them. Maybe not head glitch them, but so that their arc attack doesn't hit you at all. Because the way they shoot, it won't. It's not like Fallen where they go around corners and stuff like that. They just shoot in a straight line. So if you've got like, if they've got the high ground like this, it's in your favour because he just keeps hitting the floor in front of me. They're not to that level yet. Maybe in D3 they will be, but not to that level. So we can sort of use the stairs. You know, it's stairs and corners. That's your strats with these stairs for barriers and corners for unstoppables. Sounds stupid, but it's actually true. Do those strats, those little things. It helps in the grand scheme of stuff being able to take stuff solo. When you capture one plate, whether it be left, right, it doesn't matter. You'll get 2 snipers. Very important you take them out quickly. Don't want them wiping you this far in. Then we'll activate the next wizard, which I'll pre-charge a grenade. This time will be a bit more consistent with how you properly should do it, to be honest. I'll charge my nade. Then we'll do 2 sleeper shots. And that'll get a wizard finishable. So that's the main goal. And then take out any other acolytes. I'm not going to clear the wizard just yet. I'm not going to use another sleeper shot. I don't really want to. When I can just finish them, which I'm going to do just now. Just know that if you finish the wizard, make sure not to stand on the plate until you're ready to do that. So try and lure the wizard away from the plate. Get the kill on the wizard, and then you're ready to spawn kill the 4 acolytes. It's so important to do that, because once you let a wizard start wandering, the acolytes start wandering, they can hide all sorts of places and nade you from where you don't know. So spawn killing him is the strat, like as quickly as possible, because you haven't got much time. Because once that barrier spawns in, he's going to rush your plate and spam you. But once, as I said, you've done that and you're good, you can then go to the stairs again and then use the power of the stairs so that he doesn't hit you with the arc. You can do a healing rift if you're not confident. I always do, just in case I get hit by a splash. We'll leave with the grenade, and we're gonna use a little bit of heavy here. I should have went for the finish. I'm not sure why I didn't do that. Make sure you are finishing them though, because it's an easy finisher on them, because there's no other adds up. But I do end up leaving this room with full heavy, so I still do enough to make sure I've got, you know, the ammo. So that's plate 2 captured. Now it's the final plate. So the final plate's different to the others. The final plate has Thrall tied to it, snipers, I believe. I think there's snipers, and the barrier. There's obviously a barrier per plate. Your goal is not to kill the barrier, because it's going to be, the timing's too tight. By the time you do damage to the barrier, unless you maybe got a super, the Thrall are going to push you and kill you. So the better way of doing it, or the safer way of doing it, is to take out the Thrall first, all the waves of Thrall, and then deal with the barrier at the end, and you can even get a finisher kill on him, obviously, as well. So when we capture the plate, they'll spawn in. I'm going to do a nade, just to clear out those acolytes. See those 2 acolytes? They were snipers. So I wasn't nading it to nade the champ, I was nading it so that the 2 snipers would die. That makes it a lot easier as well, because they're not going to snipe me while I'm trying to get a shield break, which is a big thing. Now the next order is to sort of take out all the Thrall. There's 2 waves, so they seem to hide and then come at you, depending on where you stand and stuff, when you push up a little bit. Just note that the barrier can hit you from here as well, so you need to keep an eye on him. But as I said, just make sure all the Thrall are taken out. There's an audio cue for them as well when they start to push you and run at you. You might not notice all these audio cues, like when acolytes charge a grenade and stuff like that, mainly because of the spectacular Destiny music. Everyone's like fanatic on the Destiny music, right? But they miss all this important stuff in the game for audio cues, for ads. So what I recommend you do, I mean, I haven't on this, but knock off your Destiny music volume and only have SFX. Knock off any comms, so that, you know, the commentary that your ghost does throughout the strike and all that stuff. Knock all that stuff off. It's a distraction and you're gonna miss stuff. And it might sound silly, but yes, play with only SFX volume. You will hear everything and you'll be surprised on what you can hear, as opposed to what you were used to doing. You know, playing the game with full blast Destiny music and not being able to hear anything. And then you're like, oh, well, the Curse for All killed me. Well, you didn't hear the curse, did you? They have an audio cue. So tips like that. So I'm just going to melt this champ down, because the reason why I've done that is there's a brick over far right. But if there wasn't, I would have went for the finisher. So we're good. We're good for heavy ammo. I'm full. I'm max. I'm happy. 30 minutes in. It is a slow run, as I said. The boss fight's not slow. I wouldn't say the boss fight's slow. Where my run's slow is definitely the plates, because I just took it step by step, but just to show you all the ad spawns, so people are clear on exactly what spawns are happening, rather than it being a frantic thing where you don't really know what's going on and you got killed and you're complaining as to why you got killed, rather than just saying, right, I got killed because I stood on the plate, tried to devour kill everything, and it didn't work out. Just because you got devoured doesn't mean you're invincible on GMs, so you sort of need to sort of play a bit reserved at times as well. On the hill area, you've got 4 acolytes, and then there's 2 snipers as well. Take out the 4 acolytes first, and then the barrier last, of course. This barrier is awkward because he's on a hill. But there is a half decent spot, I guess, you can stand to deal with the barrier. Be sure to take out the snipers. The other sniper will jump over as well, so I was waiting for that. We got a heavy brick there, so that means I don't need a finisher kill. Well, I could still finish, you know, I could still go for the finisher and come back for heavy if I wanted to. My main concern though is getting this barrier down and not having the barrier killers. So I'm going to use this rock as cover, but I need to bait the champ in. So I'll use a grenade. He's not put. What's the AR on this? This is very smart. The champ actually only pushes once the nade's out, so that was actually quite interesting. So let the champ come in first before you nade. Then we'll strafe in and out of this rock. Notice that I'm getting the barrier shots. I don't know why. That was just, I'm hitting my shots. I'm getting numbers. Just the shield didn't break. So we let the champ reset. I'll let the champ reset when that happens. If you get hit even once, you need to be careful your next few moments of gameplay, because if you get hit again, chances you could die, so be careful. I'm just going to melt this champ down for easiness, and I've got a brick behind me, so I was fine to do that, because as you can see, that champ's quite awkward with the way he's situated. So this bridge area, right, you play it slow, but it is dangerous because there's a lot of snipers. It's probably the most snipers in the entire thing right here. So you want to try and spawn kill as many as you can. So I threw a grenade there where all the ads spawn, in hopes of getting the snipers. I didn't, but I got a bunch of the thrall. Make sure you take out all the thrall before you start to push up. There's just 2 snipers over there, so we're going to use a grenade or our bow. The snipers are to our right. I heard them charging up. Get all our reloads. Sleeper needs to be reloaded as well, because we're coming up to a hard, there's a particular part that's quite difficult. Notice the snipers there, the acolytes that come out the doors, they're snipers, so try and get any damage you can on those. The more you take, the better this is. The barrier will spawn, but then de-aggro to where the shrieker is. That's going to be what's going to happen anyways. I wouldn't try and push that way. You try and brute force the champ down. Just let the champ go back. You'll deal with the champ later. Right now you need to take out all the acolytes, all the snipers which spawn on the bridge or the ramp area, whatever. Once you push up to these stairs, you'll then get more acolytes spawning, and then when the champion appears, that's when you get the acolytes. So look, the spawner here, they can actually still snipe me, these acolytes, from all the way over here. There is a certain range drop off that they have where they won't snipe you at all, but that's not here, right? They're still sniping us, so we need to be strafing, avoiding them shots. The barrier will start to back up. When the barrier starts to back up, that's when you know when most of the acolytes are taken out. If there's one or two alive, just be careful, because we're going to be dealing with a barrier and they can peek shoot you when you don't see it. So you have to be careful with this. This is actually a bit of a difficult moment. So there's two snipers there, which that's fine. We were aware of that. We took them out with the nade. Then we deal with the barrier here. So the reason why I was frightened was because there's a barrier on the bridge. That's fine, but there's a sniper with him which can peek around that corner at any time and snipe us. So that's why I was sort of just making sure that the acolyte doesn't do that. So we'll restart on this champ. He's already barriered, and find a good angle. This is not a bad angle here because he just hits the landscape in front of us. The barrier is pushing, but not the sniper, so we're okay. That's fine. But I am keeping an eye while I'm dealing damage to this barrier. I am keeping an eye to the left as well, just in case. Because if it means we have to reset the champ, we reset the champ. That's fine. You know, as long as we're just not getting sniped, that's the main thing. I'm not going to get a finisher kill on this champ because when you go there, the Shrieker opens up and the Shrieker melts. This is another thing with the line in the sand mechanic. When you go so far, the Shrieker opens up. The problem is with this is there's nowhere to hide. There is that little space in front of us, but that's no good to you because this is going to spam that piece of cover until you die. And then the Boomerknight's going to do damage, the barrier, and you're going to die. So don't do that. So this is what you do instead. You aggro the Shrieker like this, but don't super. I supered hoping that would do damage. It didn't. Because by the time I come back here, the Shrieker's closed and your damage is immune. So that was a big waste. It's fine because I don't really need my super for anything. I could have utilised it on a barrier though, so it was still a waste. But this is what you want to do. Sort of move up slowly. As soon as you aggro, then use a bit of sleeper damage. 2 shots maximum and then come back. You can't get him in one phase. If you do, you'll probably trade and die and then have to restart your run. So do it in 2 runs like that. So again, we'll try and out this. As soon as we open though, this time we'll get him. And that's fine. It's just because the amount of damage the Shriekers do. Now we've got a barrier on the ramp and then a barrier behind him. The important thing is not to push up, because if you push up, the barrier actually backs all the way to the other barrier and then you've got 2 barriers to deal with at the same time. See the sniper? We took out the sniper. So there was a sniper still left. So I was correct in that. That's why I was playing cautious before. So here we miss a shield break. That's just the nature of it. See, what I was wanting to do here was to get a finisher kill. That's why I was playing this so slow. Get the shield break. We're going to do some sleeper damage. We miss our sleeper shot. Because I thought, what the hell, just kill him, but we missed. So, and for whatever reason, he regens all the way. So it's a good example of how bows, as I was saying, they're not very good barrier weapons. Scouts are better, but the bow's better for everything else in terms of adds and stuff like that. But it is annoying. Le Monarque doesn't suffer from this because Le Monarque has the poison. Tygoose suffers from it though. Tygoose isn't a very good barrier weapon either. This barrier is kind of annoying because I'm not getting some good angles on him. So now I really do have to go for the finisher because I'm making errors. So that's what happens. As he's sort of regenerating. I mean, he shouldn't be regenerating to that scale. I am taking his shield, so I don't know. Luckily, we get an ammo finder brick and a loosened finisher brick, so that's great. We'll then charge our nade for the next wave of acolytes. Take out all acolytes, isolate, so that we've just got me and the champ. And then we can deal with this champion. We can use our super on them, stuff like that, of course, coming up. We've got 2 bricks on the floor, so that's actually encouraging, so we're good that way. A good place to take the barrier, I guess, is at the stairs, pushing up a little bit, but the barrier is awkward on this one. Just because he'll do his side dodge, his hunter dodge, whatever it is. The Vortex will pull him in a little bit, but it doesn't do everything. Right here I thought, okay, I'm good. I've got a good angle. I didn't have sleep reloaded, so that was a small error. So just make sure that you reload all your weapons. And he just walks to the right. That was just... So we reset. And he does massive damage to us. That's interesting. From full HP to break on my shields. I don't know if they have like an enrage thing where they do more damage if they've got aggroed, but that was weird. This is the thing, there is a lot of inconsistencies with Grandmasters in terms of damage that you take from adds. Especially with Scorn. Scorn snipers are bugged. In Birthplace of the Vile, they're bugged. They will one-shot you. Double Void resist or no, they'll still one-shot, so... It's something that you've just got to keep an eye on with GMs. We'll finish off that champ. We've got the heavy to pick up, and now we're on the elevator. So this is going to be showing the elevator exploit. We showed you that on the master run. We're doing the same strat as the master run. So once you activate lift, there's 3 floors. Obviously, you want to look up, find the opening door. It's random which doors are opening. Right, find that, stand behind a pillar, and then charge your nade, activate Devour, and then jump in there. You need to do that every time. If you don't have a nade, don't activate the lift. Simple as that. Wait out the nade. Obviously, you're gonna have plenty of grenades because you should have high discipline when you're using this setup. Anyways, the key is to do that because there's a possibility of you wiping. Now on floor 1, there's no snipers. 2 and 3, there's snipers. So you need a plan B because if you do get sniped, yes, you'll survive that. But will you survive the time by the time you jump in there? Maybe not. That's where you got the Devour with the nade. That's why you charge the nade and throw it into the door that you're going to go into. So on floor 2, you've got 2 barriers, 1 solar wizard. There's 2 ways of dealing with this. You can melt down one of the barriers before the barrier goes to middle, because if you clear out all the adds that are with the champ, he goes to middle with the solar wizard. There's a problem with both routes there, because if you try and melt the barrier when there's acolytes up, chance you might die from the nades or whatever. Whereas if you let the barrier go middle, like there's 2 barriers, 1 wizard, then you've got a problem then because you can't take the barriers because the wizard's going to melt you. So then, after all that sort of thinking, logic, just melt the wizard. Let the barriers do what they want to do, and then go wizard. But you can go left or right. It just depends on where the barriers are. I'm going to go this side, have a grenade, and then the wizard will push, as I said. So the wizard's debuffed, and I would just recommend you melt. I was going to primary, but the wizard de-aggroed, which wasn't the best of things. In other words, commit. But this also presents another problem, because once you clear that wizard, this door, that green poison that's covering the door, will open. Barriers will move from out of this room to the other side, which can catch people off guard. You could be just standing like right now. I could just be standing. The knights could have just easily killed me there, which I forgot myself. That small detail that door opens. It's triggered by the wizard, not the barriers. Just be careful with the barriers. What I'm going to do is try and find a new angle to safely or safer deal with the barriers. Don't shoot the crystal until you dealt with the barriers, if you want platinum, of course. But I could do that strat where you just shoot the crystal and ignore the barriers, but you wouldn't get platinum. And this runs long anyways, so you may as well go for platinum. You have a chance of getting an adept palindrome with new rolls, so you may as well. And ascended shards, etc. So notice here, there's the barrier to the right behind that pillar. The barrier to the left isn't. So I'm going to take the barrier to the left. It's easier. I got a stun. I'll use my Nova. And I'll use some Sleeper. And just do what you can to melt the first. The second barrier you can take slower and then get a finisher kill on. Which that's exactly what I'm going to do. Start with a grenade. Try and get the barrier to stop going behind that pillar, which you can do that by using grenades, because what does the barrier do when you grenade them? They side roll out of it, which means you're going to side roll away from that pillar. He's doing some teleporting business though, which is kind of annoying right now. Getting him finishable. Got him finishable. We can get we can recuperate some heavy for floor 2 and 3. Floor 2 has no, sorry, floor 3. Floor 3 has unstoppable. So it's an unstoppable, which is actually easier than the barriers. You can control unstoppables very easy. But same thing, this is critical because there's a sniper. Look up top, see where you're going. So wherever you're going, stand behind a red pillar. Minimize risk always. Charge a grenade first. Throw your grenade wherever you're going. Ad spawned late, don't know why, but they did. And we're safely in here. You need to get that timing down because that could be a wipe. And you don't want to wipe here because of all your hard work. Getting here takes a while, of course. So make sure you've got the strats down for the elevator. Once you have, you're pretty much good. Get your allies. We'll go to the final, well, not the final floor, but the final floor is obviously the boss room, but this is the last floor which for the champ. So my main concern here is taking out all the acolytes. We'll get a stun on the champ for sure, control him, but I want to take out all the acolytes first and then slowly deal with the unstoppable. I'm not going to use any heavy because I want to spam heavy on the wizards because they're a bigger issue to me. Whereas the unstoppable, as you can see, I've already got half HP on him. I haven't done anything. It's all the nades and the hand cannon. Which also, if you didn't notice, with the Fatebringer I've got, it's got Frenzy and Explosive. They stack. Primary weapon perks stack, so this makes this hand cannon extremely good. Just because it's got, you know, those 2 perks. I'm doing massive damage to him. I'm not even doing crit. But the goal is to get that champion finishable. Then you want to bait that champ to you. So how do you do that? Well, you need to expose yourself for like half a second. As soon as you do that, then immediately right. You need to be exact with that, by the way. You saw that I sort of just went to the right. He was doing damage to me, but it was enough to sort of avoid his fire. That way, he baits around the corner. And as I said with these unstoppable ogres, the weakness is a corner. I know it sounds silly, but it is. Because as soon as they see you, they don't have the time to storm because you just finish them. Just doing that right there just gives us that, I mean, in actual fact, the brick that we got, we only had 12, so it wasn't as good as I liked. I didn't have max heavy. But right now what we want to do is kill all the acolytes left and right. Because if you kill them left, the right side can nade you in the back, so you don't want that. So all the acolytes, both sides first. Once you've done that, then the wizard. Which is a wizard both sides. So I'll charge a grenade round the corner, at least debuff them, and then use a bit of sleeper. Wizard's finishable, needn't waste any more heavy. Ah, he's killed. And then it's just one more. As I say, if you've got the heavy, these wizards aren't a problem. If you haven't, they are. You know, taking them down with an unmatched shield, even if you've got adaptive munitions, listen, you're still going to be putting half a mag. You got point inquiry, you're still going to be using half a mag to take down a match game shield. Do you think that's good? It isn't, because if you're sitting there just using a weapon that doesn't stagger them like point inquiry, you're going to die before you take that shield down. So that's why I was saying with the adaptive munitions, it's good. Maybe team play, but solo play, it just isn't there because it isn't ignoring the match game shield. It isn't, because you've still got to put sustained damage into a target that can melt you in like a second. So in other words, just match your shields. Be smart about it. Just match the burns to what the Nightfall is. Because of a cube burn, how it works, it's better off doing that. So again, pick your door and make sure you do. So I've picked this door here. I'm standing behind the red plate. I think I get sniped, but luckily, as I said, that's why we've got the Devour. That's why we've got the grenade. So there is enough time for the Acolyte to snipe you once, but if your timing's perfect, it won't snipe you twice. And you're in this room, safety, and then you can get to the farm boss. Our ammo's full, so I'm happy that way. And it's just 2 Solar Wizards first to take, and then you can start with the boss exploit, which I'm going to show when we get there. So I wouldn't play around with these wizards too much. So I would at least melt down 1 with Sleeper and the nade. Just because 2 Solar Wizards is... I wasn't comfortable with taking all that tanking so much damage. Which you can, you know, with good movement and stuff, but you're better off just melting down 1 of them at least, because you're going to be able to pick up ammo later. Here's the thing about this. Generally, you shouldn't be able to pick up ammo with the strategy that I'm doing, but because of shoot to loot, I can get all the ammo that drops from ads, so I'm happy to use it here. But I'm not going to spam it all. I'm going to do everything I can to keep this shield down, so I don't have to use more heavy. Get him finishable at least, and I won't take the wizard just yet. I'm not ready. Because the thing is, you want to take out the wizard, but be quite close to the gate, because you need to be close to the gate, because the gate's going to open and shut. When that gate opens, you need to be past that gate, and then you've done the exploit. Very easy to do. But if you're nowhere near, you might miss your opportunity. If you miss it, you're going to have to do the legit run, which wouldn't be ideal on a Voidwalker. So that's exactly what you do. Just go past, the boss won't bother you, don't worry about it. And now you're in the zone where you can do damage to the targets, the boss and the champs, etc. Things to know about this exploit is that you aren't completely safe, especially on GM and especially with the splash damage from Arc. There's still a good chance you could die up here, so you need to play quite passive and rely more on your grenades, your heavy, and stuff like that. So as we start, we're going to use a debuff with our grenade and then a super just to lead with damage. I wasn't in a good position to see the boss for heavy, but I wouldn't recommend you start using heavy just yet anyways. Sort of start to pace it out a little bit and wait for Solar Wizards to spawn up. Sometimes you'll fall down like this, like you'll notice I'll get better at this exploit as the run goes on. At the start I keep falling down a couple of times, but once you get the hang of it and work out what you actually really need to do, it's basically you just need to do some short hops and jump shot with your bow is the best thing. I'll end up doing that in a bit. I'm doing it right now, I guess, but as I said, it's not a big deal if you fall down. Just know that this gate, the way it works, right, it's obviously a wall, right, an invisible wall, but there's gaps at the right and left hand side of it, so you can actually, when I'm jumping up right here where I am, unstoppable ogres and the boss can actually hit us from here, like at that right angle there. But once you jump up here, you're safe for the most part. It's just you need to pay attention to splash damage. It's the same as what I've done on the master run, essentially. It's just going to take a little longer because obviously targets are more tanky at that. So I won't do full commentary on the remainder of the run. I'll do it up until at least the wizards, just to explain that. But what you also need to realise is each time the boss gets shielded, the next phase won't initiate until all ads are taken care of. So if there's a Taken Thrall hiding, a Cursed Thrall hiding, or a Knight, an Arc Knight, the next phase won't start. So you can rotate, this is an arena, you can rotate all the way around to my right and my left. I can do another jump over. So sometimes you'll see me do that. The boss can hide, depending on what phase he's on, depending on how many ads are alive and stuff. Just depends. The boss is more confident when there's the wizards alive and champs alive, but when all that stuff's taken care of, the boss will hide. So you have to rotate around the arena to find the boss, find the ads. We're going to melt these wizards here, get a debuff on them and melt them, because 3 wizards, basically the boss and the other 2 wizards, is too much splash damage to take. Like, the risk of you dying is pretty high, so you need to take care of them. And that's why we're going to save heavy. We're not using heavy yet on the boss until this is done. then I would at least save a little bit more heavy for the unstoppables later on. But obviously we can get more heavy from shooter loot, which I'm going to rely on that later on. That's why we've got the bow on. Notice the splash damage that's happening there, so I'm just waiting until that sort of stops a little bit. Then on any arc shields we just have to do the jump shot like that. We can one shot their shield with this bow, which is really nice. Once we get that shield break, the nade will do most of our work. So, but it's absolutely critical you get these knights down as soon as you can, because as I said, they go into hide mode, and when that happens your run will slow down significantly. It'll just take you longer. You'll still get your done. You'll still get your run done. I presume that if you're watching this, you're probably just going for the initial clear, and that's you done. You know, you're just wanting the guild for your Conqueror. Trying to jump shot with sleeper isn't working out. I was wanting to, so I'll just wait until I find a better angle. You need to keep rotating left and right, you know, to find, you know, the angle that you need. We'll take out any ads as well that we see, because here's the thing, while this wizard's still alive, a lot of the ads will still be aggroed on us, which is good, because once you clear the wizard, all the wizards, the knights and stuff, they will start to run away. So that is a bit of a problem. Also, if you fall down, which you can do, if you're inside the wall, you're probably screwed. Your run will be over. But if you fall just directly down where I am, you can actually get back up easily on all sides. You just need to look for where to jump up to, and you can do that, no problem. That's why you need to jump bow shot, because there's an invisible wall in front of you. So that's what, you know, that's why you're not doing damage there. Boss is still shielded. See, there's ads all below us, which is good. We'll try and get a nade there as soon as. We'll leave a Nova, but here's the thing. The Nova, I can't say anything about it. It tracked the boss first. I was hoping it would track the knight. It didn't, so I guess not to do that then, because it's going to auto-seek the boss. It prioritises bosses likely, because I Nova'd particularly for the knights, but it didn't. Certainly just showing you loot to shoot in action. Getting that brick there, so that'll be helping us out later on the unstoppable champion phase, which is important. You've got some heavy for that. Now I'm standing on the invisible wall I was on about. You can do that. Just take out any ads that are still up. Also, it aggroes ads if you stand on this wall like this. It sort of slightly changes, which is good. I want to use a bit of heavy here, why not? Because I don't want to have these knights go into hiding mode again. So we'll do that. The boss is unshielded. I'll get a debuff straight away and then do some sleeper damage while I can. I actually decided to save. I've only got 4 shots, so I was going to do more, but I decided to save. Because as I said, this fight isn't about melting them down, it's just about getting you clear. I figured 4 shots of sleeper would be handy later on at the unstoppable if I don't get any more heavy for a bit. But when you're not doing damage with your heavy and stuff, just keep spamming your nade. Keep an eye on your nade. You obviously use your rift a lot because they've got bomber on, so I keep getting some grenade energy back and stuff like that. But that's the premise of this strat. I think there's not much else I can add to it, so as I say, I won't do commentary for the rest of it, because at that point it's just unnecessary commentary and I don't want to sort of fall in that category. But other than that, that was the how to solo GM for the Scarlet Keep. Also getting platinum rank, you'll be able to get you to Depth Palindrome and towards your Gilded Conqueror. I hope you enjoy, thank you.